In the following video, we're going to examine how to find the x and y intercepts of linear functions from standard form. Remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c cannot be fractions, and a must be positive. Now, the first approach, the first method you could use is to find the y-intercept, replace the x with 0, and solve for y. Now, remember, when you replace x with 0, multiplying by 0 just cancels it out. And so to find the y-intercept, technically what you're doing is you're covering up the x term, solving for y. To find the x-intercept, you cover up the y term and solve for x. And so that's a quick approach for finding the x and y-intercepts, the first method. The second method is if you want to find the x-intercepts, take your c and divide by a. If you want to find the y-intercepts, take your c and divide by b. So let's take some examples. I prefer to use the first method of covering up. So if I want to solve for my x-intercept first, what I do is I cover up the y term, cover up the 2y, and I solve the equation. 3x equals 6, divide by 3, x is 2. To find the y-intercept, I cover up the x, I get 2y equals 6, divide by 2, y is 3. Remember, when you deal with coordinates, your x-intercept of 2 is actually the coordinate 2, 0. Your y-intercept of 3 is actually the coordinate 0, 3. So let's try that in this example. Find the x-intercept and find the y-intercept. So again, to find the x-intercept, we cover up the y term and we solve for x. So 5x equals 15. X equals 3 when you divide both sides by 5. So that's the coordinate 3, 0. To find the y-intercept, cover up the x term. 2y equals 15. Divide by 2. Y equals 15 halves. And so you get the coordinate 0, 15 halves. So very, very basic approach to solving it, to find the x and y-intercept from standard form. Let's look at a couple other examples. Now we take a look. These are not in our standard form that we learned before. We are actually going to have to solve these in standard form. Gives us more practice for doing it. Now standard form, remember, ax plus by equals c. A must be positive. The coefficient of the x must be positive. So I'm going to keep my x where it's at because 3 is already positive. So I'm going to subtract my y term. So 7 equals 3x minus y. And I can rewrite it so it's in standard form of ax by equals c by just rotating it around. Now, if I want to find my x-intercept here, what I'm going to do is cover up the x, so I cover up the y term and solve. And if I want to find the y-intercept, I cover up the x term and solve. So let's cover up the y term first. 3x equals 7 is the equation we're going to do. Divide both sides by 3, x is 7 thirds. And so that is the coordinate 7 thirds, 0. If I want to find the y-intercept, cover up the x term, and we get negative y equals 7. Divide both sides by negative 1, y is negative 7. And so my y-intercept is 0, negative 7. And let's do the same thing for this one. We want to put it in standard form. I'm going to move the y to the other side since the x term is positive. Y minus y is 0. So I get 0 equals 5x minus y. Flip it around, 5x minus y equals 0. So now we have our standard form. To do our x-intercept, We cover up the y, which means I really have 5x equals 0, which means x equals 0. So I have an x-intercept of 0, 0. Your y-intercept, cover up the x term, so negative y equals 0. Divide by negative 1, y is 0. So my y-intercept is 0, 0. So in this example, we notice that both our x-intercept and y-intercept are the same. Now in this video series, I showed just the one approach of the method 1 of converting from standard form to find the x and y intercepts. I find it easier because it just involves covering up one of the variable terms and then dividing by the coefficient each time. It doesn't involve memorizing a formula. You can go through and try the other approach if you feel more comfortable with it.